You ever feel like a game is almost purposely targeted to you? Well, that's the way I felt with, yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go. Now, let's see you clear them. Now, if you're familiar with mobile game ads, this game immediately seems obvious to you. So many times you'll see a mobile game advert, and the game is either not as good as it looks in the advert, or it's just straight up an entirely different game. Like in the case of like that Ebony game where, you know, that one which is that one where you pull like the little rods to get the person to the treasure, but there'll be like lava and, you know, monsters and whatnot. And it never looked, and I've played that game. In fact, I'm doing a video as we speak where I play different mobile games just to see if there are any mobile games that I actually enjoy, and it's nowhere near as good as the advert. You'll have to stay tuned for that. But here in this one, these are exactly like you would expect them to be. Stick figures and all. There are 5 mini games: Pin Pull, Number Tower, Parking Lot, Cash Run, and Color Lab. And there's not a whole lot to say really. With Pin Pull, you want to make sure the person gets to the treasure like you see in all those different adverts. In Number Tower, you've got to be able to defeat all of the towers, which just requires a lot of math calculation. Parking Lot involves you trying to get all the cars out, which is something that I see less ads for than some of the others, but is still a thing. Then you have Cash Run, which is a 3D runner game where you've got to use your stacks of fat cash to climb over these traffic cones and other obstacles. And then you've got Color Lab, which is another one that I see less adverts of nowadays, but you have to just get all of the right color fluid into the test tubes. All of the games are simple, but they are fun to play, honestly. The levels start off incredibly simple, so even if you don't understand the mechanic right away, you quickly get the idea. The only one that I did have trouble with was the 3D game, the water runner, just because with the slightly skewed angle, and I think my depth perception is slightly off, I did struggle sometimes to properly judge, when to go up and down. But apart from that, the game's up quite fun. The game's charm is only amplified because unlocking levels is done through IQ, another thing that mobile game ads love to use. Like, you'll see mobile game adverts where players will make wrong moves and you'll see this little IQ score keep ticking down, and it's so stupid. But to see this game just openly making fun of that is brilliant. There's so many things that I love about this game. It's so simple, and there's also so many levels. So for as simple a concept as it is, there's enough here to chew on for a good long while, making it definitely worth its money in my opinion. The levels do feel a little bit restrictive towards the end, like this isn't like Portal, for instance, where, there is a clear, defined way of doing things, but, it's open-ended enough that you can try and go about it at your own pace. This game feels like it has very specific solutions that you cannot deviate from, which obviously does become a bit of an issue towards the end, especially as some of the levels, especially in the parking lot, can get quite long. I mean, to spend so much time on a longer level only to make one mistake, aka just deviate slightly from what they had intended you to do, it can get frustrating at times, as you then have to do the entire level over again. But it's not so frustrating to completely ruin the experience. Still, I'd recommend checking it out because even with that all in mind, it's still fun and charming enough that I like checking it out. It's probably one of the better cases we'll get to see of some of these different game types, and I'd honestly love to see this game maybe even get some DLC or an update to add even more game types. You see all kinds of stuff in mobile game adverts, so the possibilities really are endless for Monkeycraft, the developers, to continue to expand on this if they so chose. Overall, the game isn't anything groundbreaking by any means, but if you've really been wanting to play those games that you've been seeing in those mobile game adverts, it scratches that particular itch in my opinion. And really, that's all I ask of it. You can check it out on Steam, and I imagine other game platforms too.